Hi, Mr. C here, and last time we talked about doing something along the lines for the holidays. Well, the holiday season's upon us, and I figured let's just try something different. So usually I have you guys turn an ornament for a loved one to go on a Christmas tree. Well, this year, instead of just doing it strictly out of wood, let's do something a little bit different. So what I've done here is I've taken a water bottle, and I have my handy dandy scalpel here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the bottom off. Okay? Now before I cut all the way through here, I want to take a piece of tape and I want to have basically like a hinge. Now I left some of this on, or attached I should say. So like I have this like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dyed pine cone, stick it right in here in the bottom. Now I have my pine cone sitting in here, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tape this in place. What I want to do is prevent the epoxy from running out. So now I have this like this. Okay, so I can take my scalpel, place it over here. I have this tray also. This is a hardened plastic, so I can set this inside here if I have to. But what I want to do is I thought to be a little bit creative, is mix two different epoxies, but I can't mix them at the same time. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to mix one epoxy today, wait for it to fully cure, then mix the other epoxy and put it in the next day, so I have 2 days where it has to dry. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and mix up my first epoxy resin, which is going to be a green epoxy resin for the holiday. And what I've done here is I have the hardener and I have the resin. Now this is a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 pumps of resin to 1 pump of hardener. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push this once, make sure this comes all the way up, to press it twice, make sure it comes all the way up. Now I'm going to bring this is all the way up, one depression of this. Now this is what I would call this one batch. Well, this isn't going to be enough, okay? So I'm going to go ahead, 1, make sure it comes all the way up, 2, make sure it comes all the way up. All right, we'll set this over here. And then 1 depression of the hardener. Now I have both of these over here. Now, what I'm going to do is the local pizzeria from the pizza parties in the class from after school on Saturdays. We're going to go ahead and we're going to mix this up real thoroughly. You want to make sure that you get the ratio perfectly, and you want to make sure it's mixed up really, really, really well. Now I have a dye that's made, and it's more like a metallic or iridescent type look. It's really, really cool looking. And this one's called Forest Green, because I thought that that'd be appropriate considering it's the holiday season, right? So I'm mixing this up real good here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this pouch that has the dye in it. Now, you don't need a whole bunch of this dye. It goes a really long way. So they provided, the company that makes this dye provides you with a little shovel, I guess you could call it. So I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of dye in there and seal this back up. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay. So you can see This is the mixture. It's a really neat looking green. I think it's a pretty festive looking color. It has a nice shimmer to it. I don't think you hear very many woodshop teachers saying that. But like, I think most of you can figure out that this is Mrs. C's and my favorite holiday by far. Our son loves this season too, especially being up here in the, I guess you could say, the Midwest. Michigan's a great place to be at for the holiday. We enjoy going outside and the different outdoor recreational things you can do here in Michigan in the winter. But granted, come late January, beginning of February, we don't like it that much. Then we start envying the people in the South because they get to have great winter weather as far as that goes. It's great to have some snow, but once you've had it for a month, it can go away, right? So, back to mixing this. This has to be done really thoroughly. But my thought is that we're going to go ahead. I'm going to drop in the epoxy in, okay? And I'm going to put it on one side essentially. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the bottle off to one side. So that way we get the color on one side only. Plus I want the cone to sit kind of in here, right in the center, okay? So I'm kind of looking for that to happen. So continue mixing this up. Now what I'm feeling for is this is a plastic cup, but it's double layered. And what I'm kind of feeling for as I'm mixing this is for heat. Because the better the chemical reaction, it's going to create some heat. And I don't want it to burn me or anything like that, but just once I start feeling it get warm, I know I'm done mixing, okay? And then what I want to do is I'm going to pour this in there nice and slowly off to one side, and I'll tilt the bottle, and we should be able to get a nice seal on here. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this video for a minute or two, because this does take a few minutes to mix, and I don't want to bore you. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I'll have you take a break, so that way you don't have to watch me just mix this. And then I'll come back and show you what I have to do and how I'm going to pour this in there and how I prepared the bottle for it to sit overnight, so that way it's ready for the next color tomorrow. Okay? So I'll be right back.